Growing up as a child of 90s and early 2000s arcades, I've been a casual enjoyer of the Tekken series pretty much all throughout its lifespan, with its cabinets being a regular spot where I would dump a few quarters, mash some buttons, and walk away with a smile on my face. I've put some time into just about all of them, but never really attempted to learn the deeper complexities of its mechanics, or really sat down to try and become good with a character. That's going to change with Tekken 8 because after spending about 4 hours with it, I'm all in. While I am a self-admitted casual fan of the Tekken series, I have at least dabbled enough into Tekken 7 to be able to talk about the most defining differences between it and Tekken 8. Chief among those changes is the new heat system, which is all about enforcing one of Tekken 8's biggest design goals, rewarding aggression. With the press of a button, a character can use a heat burst to enter heat mode. The effects of it differ from character to character, but in general you can view it as a limited time state where you're basically better at everything. Certain moves have new properties, others recover faster, making them more advantageous on block, and you gain access to new moves that aren't available outside of heat mode. One of the key elements of heat mode is that while it is time limited, with a meter that slowly depletes once activated, you can actually stop that meter from going down by landing attacks. This is just one of the ways that Tekken 8 looks to encourage its players to be more aggressive. Because if you're able to push the pace and land hits while in heat mode, you can keep that state going throughout most, if not all of the round. And if you decide that you instead want to cash out on damage rather than remain in heat mode, you can use a Heat Smash, which is like a mini Rage Art super move that does a large amount of damage but spends the rest of your heat meter. The heat system goes deeper than that too. In addition to there being a heat meter, there are also these little icons that govern your usage of certain actions while in heat mode. This is called heat energy, and if you enter heat mode with a heat burst, you'll only get one stock of it. However, if you use what's known as a heat engager, you'll enter heat mode with 2 stocks. These are special moves that, when landed, will instantly put your character into the heat state. Every character has 5 of them, and they're usually a handful of the most defining moves of each character. After you land a heat engager, you can spend 1 stock of heat energy to use a heat dash, which lets you quickly dash in to either connect combos that otherwise could not be connected, or if the heat engager is blocked, you can just get right back up in their face to continue your offense. So let's pause and slow things down as we look at this example between Paul and Jack 8. Paul lands his Phoenix Smasher, which is one of his 5 heat engager special moves. Landing a heat engager gives him a free dash that he can use to get in close, but I actually don't think that this is a true combo. Nonetheless, he lands that cool launcher into throw combo from the trailer. Then he lands another Phoenix Smasher, and when you land a heat engager during heat mode, you're able to use a heat dash to continue the combo. So he spends a stock of heat energy on a heat dash, picks him up off the ground, and finishes with a heat smash. Note that Paul now no longer has any heat meter to work with for the rest of the round. My favorite element of the heat system though is how it's used to further define the unique aspects of every character. Each character has at least one completely unique advantage while in heat mode. For example, while in heat mode, King gets armor on his Jaguar run, making him a grappler with an armored command run to get in on opponents. Kazuya, meanwhile, can execute his iconic electric Wind God Fist technique without having to be frame perfect on the input. What I also love about the heat system is that it's available right at the start of every round. It's not a comeback mechanic and you don't need to build up a meter in order to gain access to it. You're free to use it whenever and however you please. The already existing comeback mechanic from Tekken 7, Rage, does make a return, with it once again causing a character to go into a rage state once they reach a critical level of health. While in the rage state, your damage increases and you gain access to your ultra powerful Rage Art technique. That said, rage drives are a thing of the past, largely because it's a mechanic that felt redundant due to the addition of the heat state and the advantages it provides. Another brand new element of Tekken 8 is the addition of a special control type, which is Tekken 8's new attempt at making its complex fighting system a little more approachable for newcomers. When in special control mode, each button has a recommended move and combo for each character. There's a button for juggle combos, a button for grounded combos, and a button for quick low attacks. The selected moves even change depending on what state you're in. While this allows new players to compete with more intermediate players in terms of the damage they're able to output, the key thing to keep in mind is that players using the special control scheme only have access to a very small selection of moves. The most interesting part though about the special control scheme, and the thing that really sets it apart from Street Fighter VI's new modern control scheme, is the fact that you can switch between the classic and special control styles mid-match with the press of a button. This makes it actually a fairly viable option for more experienced players as well, as you could be playing the match out in the classic control scheme, suddenly have an opportunity for a big punish, quickly swap to the special control style, and start mashing out a combo without fear of it dropping. It also seems like a great learning tool to be able to quickly jump in with a new character and get a feel for what their moves and combos are going to look like without having to memorize a whole bunch of techniques just to be competitive. Those are all pretty substantial changes, so it's comforting to know that everything else still feels like some good-ass Tekken. In my playtime, I mostly experimented with King, who's just as much of a powerhouse as he's always been. One of my favorite changes to him is that his reverse arm slam combo has been simplified, allowing him to go into the next throw in the chain with a single button press as opposed to a series of inputs that need to be memorized. Now, he still does have the ladder, and those are probably more damaging and harder to break, but as someone who's always loved King, but was always intimidated by all of the commands needed to do a full chain grab combo, I appreciate having at least one that I could easily commit to memory and rely on pretty much from the get-go of learning the character. I want to give a shout out to Tekken 8's command list too, which does a great job of giving extra context to the recommended moves for every character. It told me recommended combos, moves to use that are advantageous on block, what moves will launch an opponent, what to do after launching them, what to do after activating heat mode, and much more. These move lists are extremely intimidating, with each of them containing hundreds of techniques, and Bandai Namco is really putting in the effort by making them much more user-friendly. After my playtime was over, I left with a renewed enthusiasm to get into Tekken on a more serious level. Tekken 8 looks phenomenal. Its hits feel as impactful as ever, and its iconic cast of characters are even more uniquely defined thanks to the new heat system. There's still a lot we have yet to see, but as far as first impressions go, Tekken 8 is a knockout. For more Tekken 8, make sure to check out my interview with Michael Murray and Katsuhiro Harada. And for everything else, keep it here on IGN.